The wagon didn't slow down when the storm rolled in. It pushed harder. Wood creaked. Iron rims scraped frozen ground. The horse snorted, breath turning white in the bitter air, as the wind cut across the Ural ridge like it meant to peel the skin off anything standing in its path. Vera Morozova held the edge of the seat so tight her fingers ached. If you've ever been carried somewhere you can't turn back from, you already know that feeling. No road behind you, no certainty ahead, only the cold. "Not far now," the driver called over his shoulder. His voice sounded small against the wind. Vera didn't answer. She kept her eyes on the horizon where a dark shape slowly took form through the snow. A homestead. Too big, too quiet, too far from everything she had ever known. Her stomach tightened. 3 days ago she had still been a woman with choices. Poor choices, but choices all the same. Now she was something else. A wife. To a man she had never seen. The wagon lurched again and pain shot through her back. She didn't flinch. Pain was familiar. What waited ahead was not. The homestead grew clearer as they crested the ridge. A wide log house, smoke lifting from chimneys, a barn that could swallow half the village she came from, horses shifting in the corrals like shadows in motion. This wasn't survival. This was power. So why had a man like this sent for a stranger? The wagon rolled to a stop. Silence followed, the kind that makes you hear your own breath. The door opened, and then he stepped out. Vera forgot to breathe. He filled the doorway like he didn't belong inside it, tall enough that the frame seemed built too small for him. Shoulders wide, arms heavy with work, a presence that didn't need to speak to be understood. He stood there a moment, watching her, not moving, not smiling, just watching. Vera stepped down from the wagon. Her boots hit the frozen ground. For a second she thought she might fall, not from the cold, from the way he looked at her, like he was trying to measure something and wasn't sure what he was seeing. He walked her toward her, slow, careful, every step controlled, like he knew exactly how much space he took up in the world. She realized then, he wasn't just big, he was used to people stepping back. "Miss Morozova?" His voice was low, rough, but not sharp. Vera forced herself to meet his eyes. "Mr. Tarasov." He stopped a few feet away, close enough now that she had to tilt her head just to look at him. His gaze moved over her face, paused. Something shifted in his expression. Not approval, not quite disappointment either. Something quieter. "You're smaller than I expected." The words landed between them. Vera lifted her chin. "I can work." Her voice didn't shake. "I didn't come here to be a burden." For a moment, nothing moved. Then a faint change at the corner of his mouth. Not a smile, but close. "I didn't say you would be." He reached past her, lifted her trunk with one hand, like it weighed nothing. Vera swallowed. The driver muttered something under his breath and climbed back onto the wagon. "Good luck," he said quietly. Then he was gone, just like that. No turning back. Mikhail Tarasov stepped aside. "Come inside." Vera hesitated, only for a second. Then she walked past him. The warmth hit her first. Firelight filled the room. Wood cracked in the hearth. The air smelled like cooked meat and smoke, and something steady, something lived in, but not lived with. The space was clean, ordered, empty in a way she couldn't explain. No softness, no sign of anyone choosing to stay. Mikhail set her trunk down. "You can take the room upstairs." She blinked. "And you?" "I moved." Simple, direct. Vera let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. He noticed, didn't comment. "Are you hungry?" "I am." He nodded once, turned, moved toward the fire. His movements were efficient, controlled, like everything he did was measured so nothing broke under his hands. She watched him work. A man like that shouldn't be alone, but he was. They sat across from each other. The table between them felt wider than it was. Vera tasted the stew. Warm, rich, better than anything she'd eaten in months. "This is good. I learned." No pride in his voice, just fact. Silence settled again, not heavy, just unfamiliar. Then he spoke. "I'll pay you." Vera looked up. "What?" "For the work, house, meals, you'll have your own money." Her grip tightened on the spoon. "We're getting married tomorrow." "Yes." "And you're offering wages?" He held her gaze. "If you stay, it should be because you choose to." The words landed differently this time. Not distance, not rejection. Something else. Something careful. Recognition. Two lonely people. Why send for a wife at all? His jaw shifted. A pause. Then, "Because it gets quiet here." Vera felt something in her chest move. Not pity. Recognition. The fire cracked behind him. Light flickered across his face. For a moment he didn't look large. He looked alone. She lowered her eyes. "Then I suppose we both came here for the same reason." He didn't answer right away, but when she looked up again, he was watching her differently. Not measuring, not uncertain. Just seeing. And for the first time since the wagon stopped, Vera didn't feel like turning back. Morning came before Vera was ready for it. Not because she had slept poorly, but because she had slept safely. That was new. The smell reached her first. Coffee, salted pork, warm bread. For a moment she didn't move. She just lay there under the heavy quilts, staring at the wooden ceiling, listening. Bootsteps below, slow, measured, the sound of a man who didn't rush his mornings. Vera sat up. Cold air brushed her skin, but it didn't bite the way it had in other places. This house held warmth differently. She dressed quickly, pinned her hair tight, steady hands, no hesitation. Then she stepped downstairs. Mikhail stood at the stove, back turned, shirt sleeves rolled. One large hand steady on the pan, while the other turned the meat with quiet precision. He glanced over his shoulder. "Morning." His voice was softer than the night before, less guarded. "Good morning." Vera moved to the table. Everything was already set. Plates, cups, cutlery. Ordered, ready, like he had done this 100 times alone. The ceremony, short and quiet. "When does the priest arrive?" she asked. "Around noon." He placed food in front of her, generous portions. They ate, not in silence this time. He spoke about the homestead, the horses, the storms that came early some years and late in others. Simple things, but he spoke like they mattered, like she should understand them. Vera listened, asked questions, real ones, not polite ones. "You want to know all that?" he asked. "I'll be living here." A small pause, then, "That makes sense." The ring, the kiss, the shift. After breakfast, the priest came. So did 2 witnesses, strangers but kind-faced. The ceremony was short, no grand words, no crowd, just firelight and quiet voices. Mikhail stood beside her, still, solid. When the ring touched her finger, Vera looked down. Silver, worn smooth with time. "Family piece," he said quietly. She nodded, couldn't speak. Then the priest cleared his throat. "You may kiss your bride." Mikhail hesitated, just for a heartbeat. Then he bent down, careful, slow. His lips brushed hers, light, barely there, but it stayed. Not on her lips, in her chest. When he pulled back, he searched her face, not claiming, not assuming, just checking. Vera gave the smallest nod. That was enough. Alone together, a house becoming home. The guests left soon after. The door closed. Silence returned. But it felt different now, not empty, occupied, by something neither of them named. Mikhail stepped back. "I've got work." Vera nodded. "And I've got a house to learn." He gave a short breath that might have been approval. Then he left, just like that, out into the cold. Vera stood alone in the room, but not the way she had been before. Small changes, a quiet difference. She moved slowly, room to room, touching things, learning them. The kitchen first, clean, stocked, organized, not careless, just unfinished, like someone had kept it running but never made it theirs. Vera rolled up her sleeves, started small, rearranged the shelves, wiped surfaces, shifted tools within reach. Nothing drastic, just enough. When Mikhail returned at dusk, he stopped in the doorway. Didn't step in right away. Vera looked up from the table. "What is it?" He scanned the room, the changes, the order, the quiet difference. "It feels..." He stopped, tried again. "Different, better or worse?" He stepped inside, set his hat down. "Better." One word, but it carried weight. They ate together again, this time closer. Not in distance, in ease. After the meal, they sat near the fire, not speaking much. Didn't need to. The flames moved, light flickered. Mikhail worked leather in his hands. Vera stitched fabric. At one point, she glanced up. He was watching her. Not quickly, not by accident. He held the look. "You always work this much?" he asked. "I always had to." He nodded, looked back down. "Then don't have to here." Vera's hand slowed, just slightly. She didn't answer, didn't know how. That kind of sentence took time to settle. The wind rose outside, stronger, pushing against the walls. Mikhail stood. "Storm's building." He moved toward the door. "Where are you going?" "Barn. Need to secure the horses." Vera stepped closer. The words came before she could stop them. "Be careful." He paused, turned back. Something in his eyes changed. Not surprise, something deeper. "I will." He stepped out. The door shut behind him. The wind swallowed the sound. Vera stood there, listening, waiting. Minutes stretched, then longer. The storm hit hard. Snow against the windows, wind clawing at the roof. The fire crackled louder, as if pushing back. Vera paced, once, twice, again. Her hands tightened together. She told herself he knew this land, that he had done this before, that he would walk back through that door any second. But the seconds kept passing. The return, collapse. Then the door slammed open, cold air rushed in, and Mikhail stumbled inside, covered in snow, breath uneven. His hands shook, not slightly, badly. Vera moved fast, to him, not thinking, just acting. "You freezing?" He tried to answer, couldn't. His legs buckled. They both dropped. The floor hit hard. "Stay with me," she said, her voice firm, steady, even if her pulse wasn't. She got him up, somehow, step by step, upstairs, every movement, slow, heavy. In the room, she worked quickly, pulled off his coat, his shirt, cold fabric hitting the floor. His skin, ice. Not cold, ice. "This isn't enough," she muttered. The blankets wouldn't do it, not fast enough. Vera made a choice. No hesitation now. She climbed into the bed beside him, pressed close, wrapped around him. "Hold on to me." His arms moved, weak, but they closed around her. Time passed, hard to tell how long. His shaking slowed, bit by bit, breath steadied. Then his voice, low, closer. "You shouldn't have to do this." Vera tightened her hold. "I'm your wife." Silence. Then his grip changed, stronger now, not from strength, from something else. "I meant what I said yesterday." Vera pulled back just enough to look at him. "What? This wasn't supposed to matter." His eyes held hers, steady now, clear. "But it does." Vera's breath caught. The storm roared outside. Inside, everything narrowed to that moment. "What if it matters to me, too?" The words left her before she could stop them. Mikhail went still, not frozen, focused on her, only her. The firelight flickered across his face, and for the first time, he didn't look careful. He looked certain. The storm didn't ease. It pressed harder against the walls, like it wanted in. Inside the room, the fire burned low, shadows shifting across the bed where Vera and Mikhail lay close beneath the heavy quilts. Neither of them moved away, not after what had just been said, not after what had been admitted. Mikhail's hand rested at her back, large, steady, but no longer careful in the same way. Now it held. Vera felt it, the difference, the choice. She looked up at him, firelight caught in his eyes, and for once there was no hesitation there. Vera. Her name sounded different now, not formal, not distant. He reached up, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. His fingers paused against her cheek, rough skin, gentle touch. "I don't want this to stay halfway." Her breath slowed. "What are you saying?" His jaw tightened, not from fear, from holding something back too long. "I want you as my wife." The words settled between them, clear, simple, no ornament, no retreat. Vera didn't look away. Her hand lifted, rested against his chest. She could feel his heartbeat, strong, fast. "I already am." He shook his head slightly. "You know what I mean." She did, of course she did. The space between them had been closing for days, in quiet looks, in shared meals, in the way he stepped closer without thinking, in the way she waited for him to come back through that door. Vera swallowed. "Then I don't want halfway either." That was enough. Mikhail didn't rush, didn't claim. He moved slowly, gave her time to step back. She didn't. When his lips met hers again, it wasn't light this time. It held. Not forceful, not unsure, just certain. Vera's fingers tightened in his shirt. The storm faded somewhere behind the sound of her own breath. He pulled back just enough to look at her. "Tell me if I go too far." "I won't." Her voice didn't shake. Not now. Something had settled inside her, something steady. He lowered his forehead to hers for a moment, a quiet pause. Then his hand slid along her arm, down to her waist. Careful, always careful, but no longer distant. Vera leaned into him, closed the space herself. That was the moment everything changed. Not sudden, not rushed, but real. Outside, the wind screamed across the valley. Inside, the room held something warmer than the fire. Time moved without measure. The storm passed in waves. So did everything between them. When it was over, they lay still beneath the blankets. Her head rested against his chest, his arm wrapped around her like it belonged there. No distance left, only breath, slow, even. Mikhail stared at the ceiling for a long moment. Then, "I should have done this sooner." Vera smiled faintly against him. "You did it when you were ready." He let out a breath. "Doesn't feel like enough time to deserve it." Her hand moved slightly, pressed closer. "You didn't take anything." That made him go quiet. His grip tightened just a little, not from fear, from something steadier. "I meant what I said," he murmured, "about not wanting to lose you." Vera tilted her head up, met his eyes. "You won't." The words came easily, not because they were certain, because she chose them. He studied her face, searching, then nodded once, like he believed her, or wanted to. Morning came softer this time. The storm had passed. Sunlight broke through the window, clean and bright against the snow. Vera woke first. She didn't move right away, just listened. Mikhail's breathing, slow, deep, peaceful. She shifted slightly. His arm tightened around her instinctively, even in sleep. A small breath left her lips, not surprise, something quieter. She stayed there a moment longer, then carefully slipped from the bed. The room felt different now, not borrowed, not temporary, claimed. Downstairs, the house held a new stillness, not empty, settled. Vera moved through the kitchen, started the fire, set water to heat. Her hands moved without thinking, but something had changed. Every step felt rooted. The door opened behind her. She turned. Mikhail stood there watching, not from a distance this time, closer. "Morning." His voice carried something new. She met his eyes. "Morning." For a second, neither of them moved. Then he crossed the room, didn't stop halfway, didn't hesitate. His hand found hers, simple, natural, like it had always been there. He glanced around the room at the small changes she had made, at the warmth, at her. It feels different again. Vera tilted her head slightly. Better or worse? He looked back at her, a faint shift at the corner of his mouth. Better. Outside, the snow began to melt under the morning sun. Inside, something had already changed. Not just the house, not just the space between them, something deeper, something that spoke without words because they didn't need to. Mikhail stepped closer, just enough. Vera. She looked up. Yes? He held her gaze, steady, certain. This is home now. The words settled in the room, not loud, not dramatic, just true. Vera didn't answer. She didn't have to. Her fingers tightened slightly in his. The fire cracked behind them. Light filled the space, and for the first time, neither of them felt like they were waiting for something else to begin. If this story held you, leave a like and share it with someone who understands that the quietest choices are often the strongest. There's always another story waiting.